Yahoo did a mock draft for the Detroit Lions, and I'll try to actually get this into Chris at some point. I apologize. I should have did it. I tried saving it and make the graphic. It saved as like a web, whatever the hell that is. I don't know if you guys ever had that happen, but Yahoo Sports has the Detroit Lions drafting Bryce Young at 6. Meaning not only do they go quarterback, but the quarterback that I feel like, presumed to be the number 1 overall pick, or I'm sorry, the first quarterback off the board, Bryce Young, falling to 6. First and foremost, Sam, what do you think about Young falling to 6?
I can't imagine a scenario where he falls to 6. And in that same draft, it had the Colts taking my least favorite player of all time, Will Levis, at number 4, and I think C.J. Stroud was number 2. I can't foresee that, because to me, Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the draft. He has everything you could ever want. The only thing kind of preventing him from being that Trevor Lawrence style, like, generational prospect, to me, is his size.
Yeah, he's 5'6".
Tiny.
I mean, he's very, very short, but to me, I obviously think that the Lions have a ton of other needs besides quarterback. I think Jared Goff, he's a fine, serviceable, maybe even like good to great option moving forward for the next couple of years. But if Bryce Young falls to 6,
you sprinting?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, because I think he really is that good. And guess what else? He would be teaming up with his old college teammate named Jameson Williams. I'm talking you guys into it, aren't I? Right?
Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, if Bryce Young falls there, you got to take him. He's
100%.
not going to fall there. That is ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
not a chance in hell Bryce Young falls to 6.
Yeah, maybe it's like one of those clickbait things.
For sure.
Because I don't know if you guys saw.
They did their job, because we're talking about them.
They did.
Losers.
I mean, we're going to do this all season. Every time someone drops a new mock draft or like one of those clickbaiting type of ones, like, we're going to talk about it. That's what we do. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel clickbaity, because first and foremost, I just think it's weird that Bryce Young's fallen all the way to 6, and then after that, also the Detroit Lions taking him. Like, as much as you guys know how I feel on the matter, like, Jared Goff performed really well.
Yes, he did.
And you know, the hearing Brad Holmes speak the other day, it didn't sound like quarterback was going to be addressed, at least with that 6th overall pick. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I got a lot to say to speak. I want you to go first before me.
I just think if he's there, you have to take him. Obviously, Jared Goff has performed well, very well this season, but Bryce Young was arguably the number 1 pick in the draft. He's arguably the best quarterback talent in the draft. He is 5'6", but dude's got a cannon. He can move around. He's a winner. He's a gamer. He has a very good ball placement. And like Sam said, teaming up with his old teammate in Jameson Williams, where you've seen that connection hit a lot. So, yeah, you take him if he's there, but he's not going to be there.
Yeah, there's just no way. I mean, got a soliloquy. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't. But you guys, my stance on the issue is well documented. I think you grab a quarterback that you can stash and sit behind Jared Goff. Matter of fact, Brad Holmes spoke to that narrative, and he said it's one that he believes in. It's a philosophy that he believes in. But I think, especially if you're bringing back Ben Johnson, like for this next year, which I think may happen, I would definitely do it. Bringing up Bryce Young, because you guys know what my philosophy has been from last season. And if you weren't listening to Studio B, I've always said Jared Goff can perform well for you. I've always said that Jared Goff can win a playoff game for you. But the beauty in that is, if you draft a Bryce Young and you're sitting him, and you have Ben Johnson coming back, meaning Jared Goff has another successful season, he then becomes an asset in himself. And you can flip that to even more draft capital, which we know Brad Holmes is knocking out the park with it. Like, I'm 100% down for that. Do I think it happens? No. Honestly, I don't. As much as I would love for that to be, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream that Bryce Young even falls to 6. But I don't know if you guys saw the other day, Brad Holmes was asked about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell by Danny Rodgers and like their closing, whatever type of video Detroit Lions were doing, and he got emotional.
Yeah.
He started like tearing up, man, and had to stop himself. I just feel like Brad has a special connection to these players. It's his first job as a GM. It's obviously looking like he's doing pretty well at it, and like it's a coming to for him as well, and these players have been a part of that, so I think there's like emotional attachment to it. Not to mention, I mean, he's been a part of like Jared Goff's whole career too, back from LA to even now here in Detroit. So like, I don't know, I can't really see him breaking that off, and Dan Campbell's that type of guy too.
Yeah, honestly, you look at it, and a lot of people would be worried, drafting a 5'6" quarterback is not always the best move, but the guy has unreal ability. The guy has unreal ball placement. He has great awareness in the pocket, and I remember hearing about them talk about him when he started that game, the Rose Bowl or wherever Alabama played this year, for their bowl game.
Oh, yeah.
He played.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, why the hell is he playing in this game? And they talked about his preparation before games is so different that, like, the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, they need to come ready with questions because he's going to come already with film breakdown and questions and all of these things that he's already done because he sat back and already watched tape on different teams and different defenses that he's going against. So that level of preparation for a guy who's in college still is impressive. But like I said, man, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He will never fall to 6.
JB?
That's not going to happen. Whoever wrote this article is clickbaiting the whole entire world,
Chris
especially
McDonald.
Us here in Detroit, to think that Young could actually drop 2-6. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all on your guys' trains. If he drops there, yes, pick him up. But that is not going to happen. And I don't know what this love is with Will Levis. I really don't. I don't see him going over Bryce Young at all.
Mm-hmm.
He's been talked about as like the number one guy off the board.
I don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, because when you click on that article, you get the NFL like video, and here's like the first 10 out of this mock draft. Again, it's Chris McDonald. I'm assuming he doesn't partake in trades when it comes to his mock drafts because I mean the Bears are there in the draft and Will Anderson, which I don't see as a bad move. But if I'm in Chicago, knowing how much that I need, I'm definitely calling around and seeing like who wants first dibs at a quarterback, and I'm making a move to fill my roster entirely. But C.J. Stroud, the first quarterback off the board, Jalen Carter falling to 3, which I hope falls further than that, but we're gonna see.
Yeah.
Will Levis, Miles Murphy, and Bryce Young.
C.J. Stroud being the first quarterback off the board is kind of wild.
You think so? I don't think it's that wild, to be honest with you. Just because he's got the size and stuff like that. What were you gonna say, Chris?
I see the chat blowing up about this, and you guys kind of mentioned it. What about the idea if Bryce Young is there at 6, because Goff is playing so well, you look to trade that for additional draft picks and really try to bolster your defense and fill out the rest of your roster, and then get your quarterback that you want to groom later in the draft. Do you like that idea, or do you just take...
Are you saying Ben Johnson's grooming young men? Is that what you're trying to say right now?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Jeez. Ben Johnson's a Discord mod.
I'm always... I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm always a fan of trading back and gathering other like draft assets. But
especially if it's not the guy you want. But, I mean, I get that he is the quarterback, and I'd be shocked if he falls there. But... I'm not mad. Goff played well this year. I'm not mad at taking a flyer at a quarterback later in one of the later rounds and maybe getting some more assets and maybe end up getting, some of those names that we thought the Lions couldn't get because of the draft pick falling to 6 instead of being at 3,
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. I think
100%.
100%.
No,
every time I talk, 100%.
No, come on, man. What'd you say again? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think Anthony Richardson's like a guy, that I'd be cool with if you're grabbing, like, you're going back and you still want to look at a quarterback. That's a guy's probably going to be there. But I don't know, man. In a perfect world where that scenario comes true, I think, yeah, you definitely do it.
I mean, I think this is a fun discussion, even if it is a little clickbaity, because for me at least, and I think there's some people that would agree with me, I'm not looking to take a quarterback per se unless if it's Bryce Young, because to me, and I already went over it, Bryce Young is the best quarterback in this draft. He's been the best quarterback in college football for the past 2 years. Like Spencer said, he's accurate. He has a strong arm. He's showed more mobility this year than we thought. I mean, in the last 2 seasons, 79 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Heisman Trophy winner in 2021. And last year in the SEC championship game against probably the greatest defense ever, he threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, was missing his second best weapon in John Mechie. This guy is legit. He is the best quarterback in this draft. I love what Jared Goff did this past year. I think building up the roster in other ways might be more advantageous in the sort of here and now, but if you can get Bryce Young at what I believe would be a steal, seeing what it could possibly be for the future, maybe you get your franchise quarterback who's even better than Goff moving forward, you got to do it. If Bryce Young at 6, and I'm not saying I would just take C.J. Stroud or Will Levis, only Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are 2 names that I would... I mean, Brad Holmes is making the pick. Obviously, I'm going to settle and ease my mind with whatever it is because I trust Brad Holmes at this point. But C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are the only names I would, for sure, pull the trigger on.
I mean, C.J. Stroud, he got bumped up a little bit more in my eyes because of how well he played against Georgia this season. I know he got knocked a lot for his performance this year against Michigan and the previous year against Michigan, where I'm not saying it was all his fault, but he didn't play up to his optimum level. But I still don't think he's as good of a prospect as Bryce Young. Although CJ Stroud, I'm more optimistic about his NFL future now than I was before.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, isn't that one of the reasons that Herbert fell too? He didn't perform well like his senior season or wherever the situation was. I don't know.
He didn't step up in big games, stuff like that.
Yeah, so same narrative as C.J. Stroud. Would you agree, Sam?
I mean, Justin Herbert, I think a lot of it was a little bit overblown with Justin Herbert, but at the same time, I know he was a guy that sort of got knocked as not a guy who sort of put up underwhelming stats, although I didn't think they were that underwhelming, but had just the crazy sort of measurables that you see in the NFL. And you've obviously seen how great his first 3 seasons are. And I could maybe see someone taking a flyer on like a CJ Stroud, but the difference is CJ Stroud put up like great numbers in college. He was in New York both seasons. Justin Herbert
That's fair.
was a little bit underwhelming at times, although I thought his college career has become underrated in hindsight.
Stroud working with a lot more too at the wide receiver position as well, I'd say.
Wide receiver,
Yeah, 100%. It's not even like a debatable at that point. I was gonna say something else at this point. In a perfect world, or like in Madden, it would make perfect sense to do. But like, there's also the human element with it. I think you're building on so much momentum as a Detroit Lions organization coming off of this year, and Jared Goff's finally confident because we've seen with him not confident, and he's literally throwing the ball out of bounds in 4th down plays. We have nothing to lose. Like, go for it. I don't want to see that version of him again because I either way, we take Stroud, we take Young. I'm gonna want to sit them at least half a season, at the very least,
for sure,
if not all. And I just don't know,
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm looking at it.